What we're going to do today is we're going to explain offsets and how they work. Okay, so I don't have a pit, I don't have an offset, so we kind of just have to go on. I believe you're smart enough to get the scenario that I'm putting out. All right, so what we're going to do here is we need to find our center. So on your offset, let's say that this that I circled in here is the inside diameter. Okay, so let's say that our offset is like this. I'm not an artist, that's why I became a plumber. But you get what I'm saying. So you know your offset is an offset flange. It's not like a standard knockout. So for whatever reason, they push the toilet back or to the side or whatever. But what we're looking for is what is this, okay? What is the actual center inside the drain? So what we're gonna do is we are gonna find our measurements, okay? So how you find your measurement is you're gonna find 4 places on the floor, the wall, somewhere surrounding that is not gonna move. If you use tile, understand that when you go to cut tile, like if you do a cut line here, and this is technically the same tile, that's not gonna work because that's gonna come up. So you can't do that. You got to go far enough away. But for this experiment, let's just say we're doing it on pure concrete and it doesn't matter, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the north measurement. So when we do this, we need to make sure it's the same every time. So if I have this piece of tape down, first off, I'm gonna tell you to put a clear piece of tape down over the measurement as well. And that way it doesn't go anywhere, okay? And then you're gonna do your measurement. So every time we do it, we're gonna say that this is 17 1/4, okay? So we know our tape measure touched the front of the tape and ran to the center, it got 17 1/4, okay? Okay, now we're gonna go this way. And they might all be different. I don't care if one is 47 inches, but you just need to remember where it's at. 14 1/2. $14 1/4. $16 1/4. Okay. I cannot stress to you how crucial it is that these points don't move. All this is going to get ripped up, it doesn't matter. These points cannot move, so you need to make it far enough away. You need to have this is easy to put on a wall. This is easy to put on the wall because typically it's going to be in the corner. Whatever you got to do, okay? You can even take stock in yourself and do what Emilio does, and he runs like a real laser, right, to be able to get it done. So now what you're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and do our demo. So you're gonna do your cut lines, and if you're inside a bathroom, pro tip, I don't think I have any right here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna create a plastic barricade, right, we all know this. But what I like to do is create negative pressure. So you move a ceiling tile out of the way, you take a box fan, flip it upside down, and that way all the dust gets sucked up into the attic because it's dusty and no one goes up there anyways, and it's just easier to clean a bathroom. Trust me, the store will appreciate it, they won't care. Unless there's like a second floor or something crazy. So but typically like you're doing a Lowe's, that's what you're gonna do, right? So then what you're gonna do is once you get your barricades, everything set up, you're gonna go ahead and mark your cut. We got our cut marked, we're gonna go ahead and do our cut, okay? So now we're gonna excavate down. So what we're gonna have under here is we're gonna have a straight piece of PVC to the offset. They did it because the remodel team, or they didn't stub out the control stop correctly, or whatever the case may be. So how are we gonna fix that? Who's done an offset flange yet? None of y'all done an offset flange. No? Really?
I have, but they weren't like, they were supposed to be digs, but they were like, oh, we're not gonna make them a dig. There's like 2 of them.
Okay, no, but you did an actual offset flange, not fixing an offset flange.
I cut it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, you did an offset flange. I remember what you did. No?
I guess I was part of the one.
You were part of one. Okay.
Yeah, that was like.
So how do you create this offset to get it back to standard?
I know you gotta get the string and then get the center of it.
That's just trying to find the center, but we already have the center right there. That's good enough.
With a closet 90 at the bottom.
You don't have to do a closet. You can do a closet 90.
I'm just thinking of the way that
position.
when they did it at the.
I was like, it was like my. I'm trying to think how we did with Amelia on the mop sink, because we cut down real far. It was because it was like 6 foot down. The peach shop was like 6 foot down.
Yeah, but he just drilled it out, and we kept the rough end trap on that. I remember that one too. So basically, what you're gonna do is you have two options, right? If it's just push back or push forward, you can cut the closet 90 and extend the closet 90. Normally, we don't mess with the closet 90. The only time we mess with the closet 90 is if it is 3-inch pipes. If it's 3-inch pipes, there's only 2 places that can actually downsize, right? Or really one, but the outlet of the toilet is going to get downsized, right? And then the closet 90. So for all code purposes, the closet 90 is the only place on a drain line that can ever be downsized.
Yeah, I can't
okay?
bottleneck.
So we're going to get a 3x4. The 3 is going to be the horizontal, and the 4 is going to be the vertical. Okay, and that way we do that, and that way you can use just a glue-in knockout. And we do that for job security. So next time if this happens, if Big Bertha sits on the toilet and cracks it, right, that means that, bam, we can just cut it out, we don't have to dig it up, and we can do right by our client. We're gonna make our money today, and then we can just basically pee him in after the fact, okay? So how you're gonna do that if we're not changing out the 90 is you're gonna use 222s, right? So what we're gonna do is do the offset with 22s, and if you notice, it goes on vertical, does an offset, and then comes out vertical with the 222s. And typically you want to do that with a regular 22 hub to hub and a street 22, right? And that way it'll minimize this swing more. So like you gotta imagine this one is a different style of PVC. This is probably like SDR, that's why it's so thin, right? This is more like septic type piping.
Yeah.
But you see this is actually the hub, but if it was street, I mean, I can't press this all the way in here, I'm just probably not gonna be able to get it out. But you can tell that the swing on this is gonna be less compared to if it was right here. You're gonna have more of an offset because you're gonna have hub to hub. And you're never gonna extend it or anything. You're never gonna have anything that wide. So you're just gonna basically have it in there, hub to hub. Now we have our vertical again, okay? And then you're gonna have a standpipe that comes out of it because we got a hole in the ground. So you're gonna have your standpipe that comes out of it, and then we're gonna measure, right? Is the center of our standpipe 14 and whatever, 17 and whatever, 14 and whatever, 14 and whatever, exactly the center. Once you have it where it's exactly the same center, right, then you know you're good. At that point, you wanna leave about this much stuff above the concrete. You're gonna do your backfill, you're gonna do your gravel, you're gonna do your rebar, you're gonna do your concrete, you're gonna smooth, and then we're gonna do our tile, all that stuff. And then once that's done, we're gonna chop it, and then we can just glue in a new flange. So the most important part of this, there's 2. In the beginning, get your exact measurements for wherever the center of this is. And actually this is wrong. So what it's supposed to be is not the center of the drain pipe. I messed myself up because of the, I just did the circle. But the center of the actual flange, okay? So let's say that this is where it actually drops down to, but the offset center, like if it wasn't an offset, where it kind of has a little cusp in it, is right here. That's where we're gonna do our measurements from, because that's where the center and all the toilet and everything lines up at. And then we're gonna make sure that this lines up to dead center. Once it does and our measurements are the same, then we know we're good to go. You can cut the video.